Now, for further analysis on Trump 2.0 and the impact on Africa, we have with us Zemedene Negatu, who is a geopolitical commentator and investor, joining us live from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, under Trump's first presidency, U.S. engagement in Africa was criticized for being inconsistent, particularly regarding security partnerships and counterterrorism efforts. What changes or continuities can we expect in Trump 2.0 when it comes to addressing conflicts and security challenges in regions like the Horn of Africa, the Sahel, and West Africa?
Right. As always, it's great to be back on your program. And actually, you did a very good introduction. You covered all the bases. So I want to pick up from where you left. Today, obviously, as you know, in Washington, at midday, there'll be a transition of power from President Biden to President Trump. And with regards to Africa, I think in a few weeks ago when I discussed this with you, I still think in the priority of things in terms of strategic importance for the United States as perceived in Washington, Africa will remain to be at the low end. China, Russia, Asia, the Middle East, and Europe, of course, will continue to be the hierarchical importance for the United States. But we have a new administration down today, and hopefully, and we'd like to find the silver lining in all these things, hopefully the president will have a different view than the Joe Biden administration. As you indicated in your intro, the Biden administration was not always consistent about its engagement in Africa. Sometimes they promote economics, sometimes they promote human rights, security, and others. But my sense is, in terms of Trump, whenever they get to Africa, in terms of that priority I mentioned, I would think there'll be a shift, consistent with all the other rethinking he's doing when it comes to the rest of the world. The same thing, there'll be a shift in thinking in Africa. And as you mentioned, people like Elon Musk are the key drivers of policies in Washington. And Musk and the other billionaires, I saw that they're like 6 or 7 billionaires in the Trump administration. So they're all business people. They understand trade, they understand investments. And for example, for Elon Musk, whose company produces the largest number of EVs in the world, he understands the importance of Africa from a business perspective, from a trade perspective. So I'm hoping, setting aside the inconsistencies you mentioned about the Biden administration, Trump will probably be consistent in his views about global trade, global investments, tariffs, and things like that, and think of Africa more and on a selective basis, and I'll discuss that in a minute. On a selective basis, would think of Africa, consider Africa as a source of the vital raw materials that will be needed to drive EVs, to power our cell phones, a lot of the 21st century technology. So I'm hoping the thinking will be different from aid to trade and investment. And the security will be secondary, or still be important, but selectively is what my view is going to happen come midday today and going forward in the next 4 years.
Right. Now, during his first term, Trump's administration introduced the Prosper Africa initiative, but they also reduced foreign aid budgets significantly. How might Trump 2.0 shape U.S. trade and investment policies in Africa? You've touched on that with regards to the minerals. And also, what could this mean for development aid programs and economic partnerships on the continent?
Very good point. Very valid point you're raising. Because I think, to be honest with you, the United States has been very generous on the aid side. USAID and other U.S. development agencies have been active in Africa for decades and decades. But if you're a president with a business background and you're looking at returns on investment, and you say, wait a second, we've given hundreds of billions, what has been the result in Africa? Have we made any difference? I'm sure he will conclude that it's been relatively small. Yes, from the humanitarian side, yes, a little bit on the security side, But in terms of the transformational impact of American aid to Africa, my view is, and a lot of people in Washington and a lot of Africans would say, probably actually China has produced more results than the United States. So my thinking is on Trump 2.0, and you mentioned Prosper Africa. It was started under his administration. I'm sure he's one of his signature initiatives. It probably be scaled up.
Mm.
Second, and I think he established, and that is one of the big establishments that he had in the first term, in my opinion, as far as development partnership, is U.S. Development Finance Corporation, a $60 billion institution which
Yes.
replaced the old OPIC. I think DFC will have a bigger role in actually getting involved in investments that matter in Africa. I think this is also how, as African policymakers,
Right.
and those of us in the African private sector investing in Africa, should pitch it to Washington is investments and trade, less of the aid. And I think that will
Mm.
resonate very well with Africa.
Right.
Would it happen? We'll see.
Mm. We'll see. Right. Thank you very much for being with us on First Post Africa and for your valued analysis there.